Stop animating bouncing balls. Seriously, stop right now. I know that sounds crazy. Every animation tutorial on YouTube start with a bouncing ball. But here's the truth nobody tells you. If you're learning animation alone without a teacher giving you feedback, that bouncing ball is doing absolutely nothing for you. You are just bouncing a ball over and over, copying tutorial, tweaking curves because somebody told you to do. And 6 months later, you still cannot animate anything else. I learned this hard way, spent years teaching myself animation, struggling alone, and yeah, I eventually landed my first job, but I wasted months on exercises that taught me nothing because I didn't understand what I was supposed to learn. Today, I'm going to show you how to master one of the most important animation principle, spacing, in a completely different way. A way that gives you instant feedback so you don't need a teacher constantly looking over your shoulder. By the end of this video, you will actually see what good spacing looks like and know exactly how to control it. Not in 6 months, not after bouncing 500 freaking balls, in just next 15 minutes. Let's go. Okay, first, what is spacing and why does everyone says it's so important? Spacing is the distance your object travels between each frame. Look at these two balls moving across the screen, same start point, same end point, same number of frames. But this one feels robotic, lifeless, and like a PowerPoint slide. However, this one feels like it has weight, momentum, life. The only difference is spacing. When the frames are closer together, the object moves closely. When they are far apart, it moves fast. So this is the basic concept of spacing. This creates what we call as ease in and ease out. The object accelerate and decelerate naturally like a real object in the real world. Now, here's the problem with how beginners learn spacing. You follow a tutorial, they tell you to add keyframes here and here. They will tell you to grab these handles in the graph editor and pull them like this. You copy exactly what they do, and hey, it works. Your ball bounces. But here's what you didn't learn. Why those curves create that motion, what spacing actually looks like, how to control it without somebody telling you where to put keyframes and how to manipulate it. You learn to follow instructions, you then learn spacing. And that is why 3 months later, you're trying to animate a character or a pendulum or literally anything else, you are lost because you never learned to see spacing. And hey, that changes today. Let's talk about the 12 principles. Everyone tells you to study the 12 principles of animation from Disney's Nine Old Men. That is, squash and stretch, anticipation, staging, straight ahead and pose to pose, follow through and overlapping action, slow in and slow out, arcs, second reaction, timing, exaggeration, strong drawing, and appeal. But here's what nobody mentions. These principles were created for 2D hand-drawn animation in 1930s through 1960s. There was no 3D, there was no graph editor, and no Blender and no Maya. The industry has evolved massively. We have tools now that let us learn and see these principles completely different way, the ways that are honestly better for self-taught animators. So, over the next few months, I'm going to document my journey as I relearn animation, and I'm going to show you how to master these principles, going from beginners to intermediate level in less than 3 months. No animation school, no expensive tutor, just you, your software, and the exercises that actually teach you something. So make sure you subscribe. Starting with spacing, let's get into the exercises. Alright, open up Blender, Maya, or whatever 3D software you're using. Create a sphere. Doesn't really matter what it is, you just need an object to move. Sphere, cube, whatever you feel like. Here's the setup. Ball on the left side of your screen in frame 1 and ball on your right side of your screen in frame 12. Just hit two keyframes on frame 1 and frame 2 so that they store those position in the keyframe. Now watch what happens. The ball just slides across a constant speed. No life, no weight. This is what we are going to fix. Now, here's where it gets different from every other tutorial you see in YouTube. Before you touch the graph editor, we need to install a tool that is called onion skinning. Onion skinning is a tool from 2D animation that shows you ghost images of your object in previous and future frames. It lets you see the spacing as you work. I know, as a beginner, installing a plugin or a script might feel overwhelming. Trust me, as you get more advanced, you are going to install scripts and tools constantly. It's part of being an animator. If you need help, there are plenty of tutorial online. Just type how to install. You will get them. If not, comment below. I'll make a dedicated video for you. Onion skin is on. Look at this. You can now see the ghost position of your ball across all frames. Notice how they are evenly spaced. That's why it looks robotic. Now, add one keyframe in the middle, let's say frame 5. Don't move the ball yet, just add the keyframe. Here is where the magic happens. Open your graph editor. You should see your animation curve. Select the middle keyframe, the one on frame 5. If you're using Blender, hit G, then Y to move it up and down. If you're using Maya, hold your shift and press middle mouse button and move it up. So you will see it will move up and down. Now watch what happens in your viewport with onion skinning on. As I move this keyframe up in the graph editor, the ball position changes. And you can see the spacing change in real time with onion skin ghost. Watch. When I move it up, the frames at the beginning get tighter, close together. The ball starts slow. When I move it down, the frame get spread apart. Your goal to make the spacing at the beginning super tight as close as possible and make sure the spacing at the end spread out. The ball should shoot out fast. And one thing to remember, when you try to keep the spacing tighter, make sure they are close together, not overlapping on each other on the top like this. That's ease out. The ball accelerates naturally. Do you see what just happened? You didn't blindly copy Curve's handle, you saw the spacing, you controlled it, you made the decision of what looks good. That's how you learn spacing. Now try the opposite side. The ball starts fast and slows down as it stops. That's easy. By the way, you can also do this with just two keyframes in total, no middle key, by adjusting the handles of frame 1, but I recommend the 3 key method first because it is more visual and easier to understand. Practice this until you can create perfect ease in and ease out just by looking at the onion skin. Don't move on until you can do this in your sleep. Once you have mastered that, let's add complexity. Same exercises, but now try different direction. This time, I'm not going to show you how to do it. You are going to figure it out. Try left to right, right to left, top to bottom, bottom to top. You do it. For each direction, use the same method, 2 or 3 keyframes, onion skinning on. Control your spacing through the graph editor while watching the onion skin goes. The goal is to train your eye. You need to be able to look at the spacing and instantly know if it's right or wrong. Alright, if you feel that was easy, if you want to give yourself a more challenging way, and this is completely optional. You don't have to do it, but if you do it, it's good. Instead of doing a straight line, try to do a diagonal way. And just to let you know, this is really hard. Even the pro animators don't do this. But if you do this, you can unlock your skill for potentially different workflows. The more you get advanced, the more you will know about different workflows, and you will thank me later. If you do attempt this, use the same principle, watch your onion skinning, just adjust your curves, and see how the spacing changes. Okay, so you have done exercise 1 and 2. You can control your spacing for a ball moving in a straight line. Congratulations, you have officially learned more about spacing than 90% of beginners who just bounce ball for months. But here's the truth. Your spacing still won't be good enough for a character animation. It won't even be good enough for animating a pendulum properly. Because a ball moving in a straight line is easiest possible spacing exercise. Really, real animation involves arc, overlapping action, time changes, multiple objects. When you animate a character's arm, you need to control spacing for shoulder, elbow, wrist, fingers, all moving in arcs with all different timing. That requires a whole different level of understanding. But here's the thing, you now have the foundation, you can see spacing, you can control it, you understand the relationship between the graph editor and the actual motion. That foundation is everything. Your next target is the pendulum. And I'm going to decode the learning method for that in my next video. The pendulum will teach you arc, timing, variation, and how spacing changes through a motion. It is perfect next step. The pendulum will take you closer to your goal for animating any characters, creatures, anything you want. So, if you want to see that breakdown, subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss it. I'm documenting this entire journey, going from beginner to intermediate in less than 3 months, relearning animation the right way. Drop a comment and let me know, did these exercises actually help you see spacing differently, or are you still stuck on something? I read every comment and I'll help you where I can. Remember, the only way to learn animation without a teacher is to become your own teacher. And that means doing exercise that gives you instant feedback so you can judge what's good and what's not. I'll see you in the next one.